Hi, I'm Kathryn Anderson, APPI Master Trainer, and I'm here today on behalf of Unite Health. I'd like to show you today some of the clinical skills I use when I'm teaching a squat. Now, of course, in Pilates, we do a lot of our Pilates work lying down, and it's only in the equipment repertoire that we start to do more work standing. But really, a squat is so fundamentally important to the way that we function that it really brings in the skills that you do right through the mat work repertoire in order to give your clients really practical uses of their Pilates movements. Now, we have Molly here today who's going to demonstrate for us. And the biggest thing about the squat that I would say you can dovetail into your Pilates practice is think 5 key elements all the time. So running over them, you've got your neutral rib cage position, you've got your nice lateral breath, you've got your neutral spine, you've also got your head and neck and your shoulder posture. So we're really looking to maintain them right throughout the squat. So once we get the nice standing posture, what we then will find is that we need to work out how to disassociate the hips. Now, you'll remember this from the mat work repertoire, especially on that first day of mat work 1, when we go through a lot of the one leg stretch and the double leg stretch work. And you're really applying all those rules here up into standing. So Molly, what I'll get you to do is put your hands on the front of your hips there. Now, we want those hands not right up on the hip bones where we naturally sit them, but we want them down on the hip joints, which is like the bottom of your underwear line. And that's the point where in a moment we're going to teach that person to dissociate. Because of course, if you have it too high, you'll end up moving through your lumbar spine. So from here, Molly, what I'm going to get you to do is imagine just a little waiter's bow. So I'm going to get you to tip forward. I'm going to get you to bring your tailbone with you. And then you're going to come back up to the top. And you'll see what Molly's done right throughout that movement there is she's kept that neutral spine, she's kept those 5 key elements, and she's used her hips primarily for the movement. Now, the biggest problems you'll see when teaching this is one of two things. Either when they move forward, they leave their pelvis behind, so that stays fixed and they flex in their lumbar spine. So for that person, you need to teach them to get that lumbar extension as they move. I often will put my hands on and I'll say, stick your bottom out, bring your tailbone with you so that you get that nice flat movement or that nice straight movement. The other thing you'll see is that when people go to hinge, they'll hinge well through their hips, but they'll lose their rib cage position and they'll extend a lot through their thoracolumbar junction. And so with that, what you want to try and cue is as they come forward, if you see them extending there, talk about the spring that attaches their rib cage down to their hips, and they want to keep that spring down or keep their back wide. Lovely. So you can come back up there, Molly. Now, once you're sure that you've got that nice disassociation with the hips, we then bring the knees into the movement. So we initiate the movement through the hips. Lovely, just a little forward fold there, Molly. Pause there, and then I want you to start sitting back and into the squat. Now, the reason why I cue back is because one of the biggest issues that people have who have loading in their knees when they're squatting is that they initiate the squat through their knees, and so therefore we don't use all those lovely muscles around your hips and your pelvis that should be working in the squat. So that idea of tipping and then sitting back, sometimes I'll say get back into your hip joints and start to bend down now into the squat. That's a really lovely way of ensuring that people feel their glutes and their hamstrings and not their knees and ankles. All right, now the next part of the squat is to make sure that they're maintaining the neutral spine throughout. So we talked about the hip hinge, we talked about that initial movement. The other thing you want to do is to get them to hold when they're down there and assess what happens at the bottom of the squat. So Molly, if you could do a nice squat now for us and hold. We then go back through our 5 key elements. So what's happening to the rib cage? Do we need to initiate a little correction through here? What's happening through the pelvis? Do we need to get that nice tailbone out? And if all of that happens, you should find that your client reports that they can hold this squat really comfortably for as long as you would like them to without feeling any loading in their back. So if they do feel that loading, go back to your 5 key elements and work to figure out what's going wrong. So I love the squat because it brings in all the fundamentals of APPI Pilates while overlaying it on a really functional movement. So I hope that's useful to you, and thank you for watching.